Okay, welcome everybody. It is 7:30. We're going to get started. So I don't see any new people. Maybe the person, are you new? New. Okay. What's your name? What's the last name? I was looking for you. You entered tonight. You entered some stuff. Yeah, welcome. So everybody, there's a new person over here. Dave, say hi. Okay. Before I forget to, I still have a few people that want name tags. If you want a name tag, I think everybody here has probably got one except maybe you. If you want a name tag, put it up here. And if you're at home and don't have a name tag and you're going to start coming here from time to time and want one, just send in a request to the website. So our announcements today, let me turn some lights down here. The Chagrin Falls exhibit is going on still until October 4th. That's at the Chagrin Falls Library. It's in the details. And there's still time. So we have 4 photography schools. 3 of them have already started and are running, so it's really too late to jump in on those. But the 4th one is our iPhone photography school. We do have quite a few. I think we've got over 30 people right now. So that's going to start in September 30th. Think about that if you'd like to take our iPhone school. We have Friday night coming up on the 26th is our nature and pictorial competition. It's a projection. You have to get your entries in through Shutterscore on Wednesday, September 17th. So those of you who might not be familiar with it, what has to happen is your images have to go out to remote judges. They have to judge them remotely and send in their scores and their comments. So we need your images in by really 9 days before the competition. I'm sorry? That was 2 days ago. So you're late. I think you're late for this one too. You're late for the B competition. Thanks for pointing it out to me. See, I don't do this until like the week before. October 10th, we have an in-person Roger Mastriani. Hope I said that right. He's a Cleveland-based corporate and editorial photographer. Is going to be here to talk about his work. I looked at his website, and I've seen a lot of the images of Cleveland, and his are just really different. Places that I've seen and familiar with, he's taken unique perspective on them and different images that just are amazing. So come for that meeting on the 10th. Back to the Wild, where you have registration has been open. It's $20 per person. You have to register only through the website. And it's members only right now. And we have something new that just popped up today that Kim Vashaleski, who is our field trip getter, we're going to have a field trip at Capture On Labs. This is a lab that's over in Willoughby that Gabe Walesko and a couple of other members I know are using. So what you're going to get to do is see what happens when you send images into somebody else. You're not printing them yourselves. It's free, but you have to register through the website. So you're going to be able to see what happens at the lab once you send your work and how it gets handled and printed. That's October 30th at 1 o'clock. And still save the date for November 8th for our photo equipment swap meet. It's members only. So we're still gathering details and working things out, but I can tell you it's going to be from 10 to 4. It's going to be November 8th. It's members only, can sell and buy, but we will have a lot of other people. We're going to reach out to other clubs. And if you're aware of this, invite other people so other people can buy. I'm going to work the details out later, so you're just going to be in suspense over that. So tonight is our photojournalism. It's not a competition. And let me get ourselves started on this. So some of the people are here. Get back to the beginning here. If you're here and want to speak, please speak. If not, people have sent in comments that they would like me to read. So our first person up is Bill Keaton, who happens to be here.
As I'm sure a lot of you are, if you're a photographer, you tend to be the family photographer. I'm sure there's people here that can relate to that. So I have a 9-year-old grandson who plays soccer. So I often am at the soccer fields. Uh, this is the Amherst Youth Soccer League, which is for 9 and 10-year-olds. This young lady is Elena, and she was involved in the pileup in the back by getting a sharp kick in the shin, which explains the look on her face, but she had enough gumption to keep on going. So I just liked the expression and went with that. So that's the first photo. This is Alex. Again, member of the youth soccer team. And I just like the fact that it's almost a dance look with the way he was kicking the ball. Sports photography is a big part of photojournalism. I mean, what newspaper doesn't have a sports section? So, and again, I'm out doing this, so I figured why not? My next one, uh, you know, even on youth leagues, injuries happen. The coach consoles the people that take him off the field. They all kneel. This is Jackson, who happened to get kicked in the head. And, everybody sits down on the field and then they escort him off. And that is also happens to be my son, the coach, comforting him as he leads him off the field. So I just like the emotion. You can see the kid's face, he's crying. It was one of a couple shots I got. The rest of them, he had his arms down, and I couldn't do that. So that's just soccer pictures. Next, we have, for the sake of honesty, I have been going to a lot of anti-Trump protests, both as a photographer and, for the honesty's sake, as a participant. I will say there are more and more of these. Crowds are growing. If you talk to people, they're very angry. This one is in Elyria. They met on the square. I'm going to guess the crowd for this one is around 200 to 300 people. They left messages for the congressman in chalk on the sidewalks in front of the courthouse, and they marched to the municipal building. PBS is one of the big issues. So I just wanted to get a shot that showed a little bit of what's going on and give you a feeling of the crowd. And this is one of them. Next, I believe this one is in Sheffield. Many organizations are popping up to do this. There is one in Lorain County called Lorain County Rising. If you want to get involved, which I would encourage you to do, you can go to various websites, and there's probably a protest somewhere in northern Ohio every week. Different issues. I thought the John Lewis quote says a lot. Again, I know you're a captive audience. I'm going to keep this short. Pay attention to what's going on. Just this past week, the free speech issues should be chilling to a bunch of people. They canceled Colbert, and when they did that, Trump said, Jimmy Kimmel, you may be next." Guess what happened? Jimmy Kimmel's now gone off the TV. With Charlie Kirk, are they talking about the violence? The Department of Justice just removed a report from their website showing that right-wing violence is 4 times more prevalent than left-wing violence. So I know you're a captive audience. I'm going to stop with that, but I'd ask you just to pay attention to what's going on, and if you feel strongly about it, to get involved. One site you can go to is Ohio 50501. It's like a clearinghouse for a lot of protests. So, like I said, I know you're a captive audience. I'll get off my soapbox. Next pick. And I thought I'd enter something a little bit more humorous. This was taken about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Great Lakes Medieval Fair. That has now stopped for the year. This young lady, part of her act was she actually triggered that mousetrap with her tongue, and then proceeded to talk to the crowd for about a minute or two before she did a sword swallowing act to follow up. I take a lot of pictures at the Great Lakes Medieval Fair. It's a fun, target-rich environment. If you like to do stuff like that, the Ohio Ren Fair, which is about 2.5 hours south, is going on now. It is 4 or 5 times bigger. I would suggest going online to get tickets if you decide you want to go. I made the mistake last year of driving down thinking I'd pay at the gate, and they said, sorry, we've reached maximum capacity. So I went 2.5 hours down and drove 2.5 hours to get home. Didn't get to go. I have tickets for next weekend on my desk. So it's a lot of fun to go to these Renaissance fairs. Music, entertainment. The one that in the Ohio Ren Fair, they actually do real jousting. So, they're trying to knock each other off horses with lances. It's a lot of fun. You can watch that and then walk about 50 yards to the pub, listen to Irish music and drink hard cider. So it's worth the drive down to go to that. That's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bill. The next one we have is Bonnie Luxo, and she is not here, so I'll be reading the comments that she put in. So this is entitled World's Largest Rubber Duck. The world's largest yellow rubber duck was recently at Put-in Bay. It is 61 feet tall, 64 feet wide, and 74 feet long. The people alongside of it are certainly dwarfed. Her next entry is motorcycle riding baby ducks. The couple who drove the cycle looked forward to this day for 3 months. They were so excited to see it with their baby ducks in tow. And this is entitled Put-in Bay View. This picture was taken from the 316-foot tall Perry's Monument. It was a beautiful and clear day. Next, we have reenactors at Put-in Bay. Historic Weekend features a replica of the longboat used by Commodore Oliver Perry in the War of 1812. This is called Old Fashioned Western Jig. George, who is 95, loves to listen to Western music and dance to it with his cane. He lives in New Switzerland, West Virginia. And this last entry of hers is called Lake Erie Monster. Is that right? The Toledo Botanical Garden features the Lake Erie Monster in foliage.
Yeah, it's like the serpent. It's going in and out.
Yes. Very nice. Thank you, Bonnie, for your entries. Next, we have Brad Nelson Rubensall, and he is not here tonight, so I'll be reading for him. This is Janet J. Janet Jackson performs at Gund Arena in 2001. No wardrobe malfunction there. High school pitcher. A Twinsburg High School pitcher delivers to the plate at Thurman Munson Memorial Stadium in 2003. This is Purple Haze. Live music at the Beachland Tavern in 2023. And this one is entitled I-480 Crash. Motorists exit their vehicles just after a collision involving a car and a semi, resulting in a fire near the State Road exit on I-480 in Parma, Ohio. That was in 2002. And those are all Brad's. Now we have Charles K., who is also, Charles is not here, right? Nobody's walked in on me. Okay, this is Charles K. He entitled this Rubber Ducks Baseball. This photo is from August 19th, 2025, during the Akron Rubber Ducks game. The intensity of the players to be successful is easy to capture during the game. Action is an important element to capture for me. And then we have David Silverberg, who is our new, where's our mic? We're going to get a microphone to him, who's, are you sure?
Yeah.
We're gonna yell at you if you don't. Okay, well, no, we don't yell at newbies, so. Okay, this first one is called Age of Innocence. This image makes me wonder what, when, where, how, and why. Next one is dogs leading man. This image makes me laugh.
Wait. Can I go back to the other one? I'm just curious. What is that?
Yeah. What is it?
That's a building in Brussels, Belgium, and it was built in 1958 for the World Expo. And the idea was that you try to make an atom into a building, and it's just absolutely beautiful.
Okay. So for those at home, this is a building in Belgium that was designed to look like an atom. So it's very big. Okay, and this one is dramatic tension. This image makes me feel like I'm up there. And this looks like a color version of that same building in Belgium. Yep. The scale is really immense. This is called Duet. When I see this image, I hear the song. Are you going to sing for us?
No.
No, okay. And this is called Knights of the Night. Knights spelled Knights. This image makes me curious about what the future holds for each of them. How true when we look at the youth. And this is called The Curse of Youth. This image reminds me that everyone has a story. And last one we have is called Written in the Stairs. This image reminds me that there are messages all around us if we just pay attention. And that's all for David. Thanks for entering, David. I know it's tough when you're new to put yourself out there. So next we have Gary Wood, and we're going to see if Gary's going to speak to us. He is. He's going to grab the mic.
This is, it's a village in the south side of Lake Adelon in Guatemala. I'm forgetting the name of the village right now. I'd seen this couple, the mother and the son, walking down the market street, and she goes through everything in every stall and buys nothing. And you can see how happy the stall keeper is on the right, and her son is somewhat embarrassed by this all. Now look in the lower left-hand corner. I think she's going to have a surprise, an unhappy surprise. Next. I love lettuce. This is a giraffe at the Cleveland Zoo being fed by a little girl. And the purple tongue curling around the lettuce. I think it's cute. Next.
I have to comment on that. I had my granddaughter feed the lettuce at least 4 or 5 times. And for you to have gotten this shot as sharp as it is and that close up is amazing.
I had my telephoto. I was thinking I was going to be shooting the animals at a distance.
Yeah.
And I had to step back and.
That was a quick grab and a really sharp shot. Congratulations.
And this is at Sandy Ridge. This was a mentoring trip I led. And I just like the chick learning to walk there. That's it.
Not to be morbid, but I believe that chick didn't make it this year.
It was gone within a day or two of this shot, yeah.
Okay, we have Jackie Bussinger Meredith. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She is not here to. Oh, you snuck in on me. I'm sorry. Did I say your name right?
You did.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
Wait, I have to see what I called these. This is Miss the Hitch. So every year I go to the Geauga County Fair because I just love it. And one of my favorite things to watch is it's like a weight pull, sled pull. It's called with the big horses. So at this point, they have to hook them up really quickly, and then they pull this sled full of all this weight. And here the guy didn't hook it up. So he's literally going after, they get another try, but you have to make sure that they don't just, go off. So I just was taking it serious, and I like this one.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Feed Me. And in the one hand there is a delicious funnel cake, and obviously the horse can smell it. So I just thought this kind of told a cool little fair story at the end of the evening, and he didn't get any. I called this one Sweet Young Love. So a lot of times what I do is I just position myself somewhere inconspicuous, where I have a background that I like, and I just shoot. I just, and let the images kind of come to me. And this one just stood out. One, because it was the time that I shoot in the evening, it's a great time. Everything's really colorful and saturated. And it was very clear, which doesn't always happen with some of these evening shots. And I just like the expression on their face, and just, caught them naturally. To me, it just says fair. Next. This is Determined to Win. Another place I just kind of like, I don't really want people to see me. I just have a fun time taking these. And this little girl was given way, way more attempts than I think her mom bought. And the ride operator was enjoying the whole show as much as the mom was. And this little girl was trying, I believe she was trying to win a fish. But anyway, you can see the ball actually flying nowhere near where it's supposed to go. But she kept doing it. Next. So this is an interesting one. This is just like Dad. This is taken at Bannock State Park in Montana. It's a ghost town. And it was actually the end of the day. The ghost town was pretty much closed. And I was in one building, and I saw these guys walking down the street out the window. So I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. So I started taking pictures out the window, thinking they'd be gone. And then I came out of the building, and I just saw them. I had the zoom lens on, and or maybe I put it on, but I was able to kind of stand back, and it was just really fun to watch them walk. And the father was just like swinging a lasso, just like nobody ever does ever. And the kid has this little silver gun, and just was like a sweet moment. I don't think they were actors. Oh, this was taken.
Nope.
Sorry. Yeah. So this was taken at Bannock Cemetery. And what struck me about this and told the story was this baby was 5 months old when he died. And so it just kind of speaks to this time when a lot of children did not survive. But people are still putting things on this baby's grave. And so you can kind of look down, and there's a Snoopy there, there's a little elephant, there's a giraffe there, there's a pinwheel there. And I just thought it's kind of interesting that, and rocks, but over all these years that people are still paying tribute to this little unknown baby. And this one I think is called Crossing at Medora. This is in North Dakota, near Teddy Roosevelt National Park. And I was walking around the hotel area, and this is right outside the hotel. And there was a deer that had just crossed the street. So I had my lens out, and it was kind of a cool thing. And then I looked up and saw this woman just waiting, and the train zooming by, and the colors were great. It was dusk, and I just kind of like this. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackie. Next is Kent Hill. Did Kent sneak in and I didn't see him? Okay. So Kent's not here. I'll be reading for him. This is called CPS at the 2025 Air Show. The Cleveland Photographic Society at the 2025 Air Show. Very impressive lenses, all pointing at the same photo op. This one is called 1971 Anti-War Demonstration. In May of 1971, I attended an anti-Vietnam War demonstration in D.C. I used a Yakima film camera and scanned the photo for this competition. Notice the people climbing on the Capitol stairs. I intentionally left the Keep Right sign in to show how the sentiment was overwhelmed by the crowd. Same with the red stop sign. This is called Social Media from the 50s. Traveling to Mount Baker in Washington State, I drove by this off-the-track bar and found this phone booth. No Superman, no. And this is the 9/11 Memorial Casualty. The 9/11 Memorial in New York City has the names of everyone who died on that day. I found this to be particularly notable. And those are all for Kent. Next, we have Kim Wachaleski, our field trip getter. And this is called The Winner. Volunteering for the Wags Wonder Run this summer. This little girl was racing across the finish line with such gusto. Sarah, the event coordinator, handed a medal to everyone who finished, and this special moment touched my heart. It is touching. And now we have Leslie Nutt. And Leslie just gave us titles of images, so I guess we'll have to fill in the blanks. This one is called The Brilliant Rain. This one is called Waiting. And last we have Still Waiting. And those are all of her images. Now, Mike Lonsdale, who's out west, and I glanced at these. I think these are images he shot when he was out there. He calls this one Forest Fire Planes. While working for the U.S. Forest Service in Montana this summer, we educated people about a 1959 earthquake at a visitor center. There are approximately 2,500 earthquakes per year in the greater Yellowstone area. However, it is not the damage caused by the earthquakes, but the forest fires that occur yearly. These privately owned planes work for the state and the Forest Service, skimming Lake Hebgen to pick up 1,400 gallons of water each and pour it on the fire every 9 minutes from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. They did this for 1.5 weeks. Had no idea they picked up water like that. This one is called Fire Plane in Action. Despite the efforts of planes like this and 1.5 inches of much needed rain, the West Fork fire continues to smolder due to the thick forest canopy. This fire alone consumed 963 acres. It will not go out until the snow falls. So in both of these images, I'm sure it's the smoke we're seeing from the fires and not a lack of contrast in general. And this one is called Helicopter Fighting Fire. This helicopter is fighting the horn fire within 5 minutes of our visitor center. It puts a bucket into a nearby lake, scoops up water, and pours it over the fire. And this one is called Helicopter with Bucket. This is another view of the helicopter with a water bucket over the fire. The state of Montana spends on average as much as $30 million fighting these fires, protecting buildings, private properties, and treed areas every summer. And his last image is called Fire and Its Destruction. This is part of the damage of the still smoldering horn fire. And those are all of Mike's images. We're waiting for you to come back, Mike. And now we have Richard Ader, who is in the clubhouse.
You start on your people who do. There was someone Kent before.
Yes, Kent Hill.
What's his name?
Kent Hill.
Kent Hill. Okay. Because that is a coincidence looking at Kent Hill's pictures, and I'll go over that. I dug into my archives for some photojournalism pictures. This is from, as Kent, the 1971 March on Washington. I was photography editor at Case Western Reserve then, and took a crew down, went down in about 5 cars. I had the old 56 Volkswagen there. We had to load up enough film to bring down and whatnot. And I had 6 photographers, and we covered the event. There were several 100,000 there at the time. These are obviously all scanned. So these are just some of the images from the crowd way back when. This was the first really, really big Washington protest back then in 71. Okay, go to the next one. This was an interesting one that in covering the campus protests, this is opposite Severance Hall on Adelbert Road is the Adelbert Hall, which is the administrative building at Western Reserve or Case Western Reserve University. At the time, the anti-war demonstrators had taken over the administrative building. And the dean at the time, Dean Chamberlain, who's up in the middle there, was trying to keep peace. We had heard that the campus fraternities were going to organize and try to take back the building. The police didn't want to get involved. They wanted to keep the violence to a minimum. And so basically, Dean Chamberlain thought that he would mediate. And so he stood down in the middle as the fraternity groups approached and the anti-war people who had taken over the buildings met in the lobby, knowing that they were coming down Euclid Avenue. So there was enough time to know when they were coming. And I knew I wanted to get a view of this. Adelbert Hall has big, huge oak doors. I was younger then. I climbed the door with the camera too, and I'm shooting from atop the oak door, shooting down as the two groups met. This was one of the shots of Dean Chamberlain in the middle and the protesters on one side and the fraternity people on the other. You could see some news media there, the old, in the upper right, the old cameras they used to use for the media. So this is also back around 71. Okay, next picture. This was another, I spent time photographing the Cleveland Fire Department. I was in residence with them for a year and worked with the men based at East 66 in Chester, because that was the busiest station in the city. And this was just a shot. I call this, you could never get too much smoke. And by the way, I was doing this as part of a research project for University Hospital. They needed a gopher, and that's what college students were. You know, it was nothing, don't think, just do this. And I always carried an old camera underneath my fireman's coat. And I had to hook these people up to monitors and follow them at the time. So the person I had hooked up that day, this was in Huff. It was a building that was, it was a two-story structure. The fire was just about out. It was all smoldering. I knew he was upstairs. I went to find him. And so there, with all the smoke around and the burning things just falling, he was just taking a cigarette break again. So, of course, carrying the camera, an old Agfa 35 millimeter, just snapped a shot. Okay, next one. This again, back 71 at the Washington Monument. This was part of the protests that time. Okay, next. And this was part of the thing of having a press pass back in those days, is there were only really three big news organizations. There was the Press, Cleveland Plain Dealer, and Case Western Reserve. So you basically got access to a lot of places. And security was a little bit different then. And I was part of the group covering Nixon, and this was at Hopkins Airport. And we were in the line with Nixon, and I was moving with him as he moved along. And at one point, he saw these ladies dressed in the Lithuanian outfits, and he was just so enthused, and he broke through the barrier. In other words, the Secret Service was absolutely just but he just went through, went up with them, and, you know, just kind of was in their midst there as well. And I managed to snap back and snap a few shots with the old 135 millimeter. Again, security was a little different back then, because as Nixon moved, there was a bunch of just a barrier there, which old wooden barriers, and as he moved in front, I'd be next to him, the press and the plain dealer would be just around on other sides. And at one point, I just said, I want to get some of these shots of people looking at him, because everyone was looking, with Nixon standing to my left, everyone was looking at him and their expressions, and I wanted to get some of these expressions. There was one woman that had this absolutely prize-winning just expression, and I said, I just gotta, I gotta get that. So quickly, this is filmed, so you gotta work fast. I went up, focused on her, and pressed the button. And just as I pressed the button, something happened. Then could you flip to the other? Yeah, just that one down there, the blue one on the, there it is, on the bottom. Nixon had stepped in front of me, and instead I got a shot from 2 inches on the back of his head, probably the closest anyone has photographed the back of his head there. Again, like I said, Secret Service protection was a little bit different back in those days. So again, missed the woman, and this is, for whatever, recognize the ears. That was Nixon. That's just a little extra one in there. Okay, you can go back to the, thank you. Hey.
Where did I go here?
Yep, space bar, there it is. And also, what Kent had shown was the memorial, 9/11 memorial. This was 10 days after 9/11. So this is 9/21. I grew up in New York City, so I know this area well. I knew this would be a bit of history. And so when this happened, I flew in, stayed at my home on Long Island, where my parents lived, and took the train and wound my way down to downtown, where the fires were still smoldering. There was ash over everything, and part of the towers were still standing as well. It was an amazing time. I will never forget it, especially having come from New York, in that there must have been down there at this time, 10 days later, besides all the emergency vehicles and firemen and whatnot, there was about 10,000 just New Yorkers in general. But you could hear a pin drop. There was no sound. It was just so eerie as people were just in amazement and everything. One of the interesting things that happened, and there were camera crews from all over the world, and there was a Japanese camera crew. And I, at the time, had this shirt. One of the hospitals had, in order to do when they had puncture wounds, that was back in the days where the drug companies, the pharmaceutical companies could give you, to sell their product, they give you a lot of freebies, shirts, whatnot, anything. And they had a little tool that after you had a puncture, to seal it up, they had a special sealant. And they had it marketed and they were trying to push it. And they gave me a shirt. And the shirt said, it had the brand name, in a little corner. And their motto was, we are the SEAL team. So it said that on it too. I'll wear anything. So I had that on while I was down there too. There was a Japanese film crew filming this and whatnot too. And all of a sudden, they couldn't speak English, but they turned around and they saw me, and they saw a SEAL team on there as well. And they started yelling out, turn the camera, SEAL team, like that too. And everyone's pointing SEAL. Now, which totally amazed me, because I didn't look much different, except I was smaller then. That's the last thing I look like as well. But they honestly thought they were filming the camera on me. They were trying to get the mic, and I, what do I got to do? But obviously was not. But this was a somber time, and I have a whole series of shots then, because again, knowing that once these were done and gone, this is, like I said, just a bit of history. That was a little side show there. Next one. This was in. They needed a doctor during the Vietnam War. There was the Hmong, Hmong, tribesmen in Cambodia, and some were in Laos too, that were really very, very helpful to the United States. And one of our promises to them would be that we would, after the war, repatriate a lot of, not repatriate, we would take a lot of them over to the States. And so we had this program back in 78 or 79, that the Air Force was going to fly a whole bunch of hundreds of them back to the States and resettle them there. And what they do is they needed doctor-nurse teams. My wife was a nurse. And so they recruited us to fly an empty, out of Travis Air Force Base, it's outside San Francisco, an empty DC-10. We flew over totally empty, just the pilot and the crew, and we'd pick up these hundreds of tribesmen, and we'd be responsible for taking care of any medical issues that happen. Now, I have no training in medical issues of tropical diseases, and I was a photographer. I mean, that's where my interest was. My wife's a nurse. She could take care of that stuff. They gave us you could do open heart surgery with the amount of equipment they gave us. As it turns out, but I brought all my camera gear because I was going to do that. As it turns out, the only medical problems we have, and there were none of these kids had ever, two things they had never seen in their life. One is an airplane, and you immediately had 200 people get airsick as soon as the thing took up. There's not much you could do about that as well. And the other is, the biggest problem on the flight is they passed out food. It was all, the kids were loved. They passed out sandwiches all wrapped in cellophane. Most of them had never seen cellophane. Do you know what it's like to have the food in your hand and be hungry? And you eat it, but nothing's happening as well. And we had to go around and explain and get the wrappers off. That was the biggest thing. But I wound up taking pictures the whole time, and I have to give credit to my wife. She took care of the medical issues. We were very closely watched by the Thai government. We flew into Bangkok, which was where our pickup spot was. So these are the refugees that we are picking up down there, and the Thai soldiers over there were very wary. Thailand agreed to let us use that airport, let the United States use that airport too. But they were very, very leery of this, and there was a big military presence, and I just wanted to get the soldiers up against with the kids filing through in the background. So I think that's it, Chris. Let's see. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Susan Mohorsik, I don't think snuck in on me, so I'll be reading what she wrote on her images. This is entitled Biscayne Bay 1. A spoiler alert, all of hers are going to be named Biscayne Bay with a number after it. So this is number 1. There are many ways to enjoy Biscayne Bay in Miami. Paddleboarding with the skyline of Brickell, which is a financial district in the background. There are also jet skiers off in the distance. And this is Biscayne Bay number 2. Is great for windsurfing. This is an IQ foil, an Olympic foiling windsurfing class. Miss Dixon is on the U.S. Sailing Youth National Team, and who knows, hopefully we'll see her in the 2028 Summer Olympics. Biscayne Bay number 3. There's also a lot of sailing on Biscayne Bay. There are families just having a fun day cruising, including the dog, probably named Spot. Biscayne Bay number 4, and there are many, many international sailing regattas on the bay, including small boats like the Snipes. Biscayne Bay number 5. These sunfish racers are out almost every weekend, either practicing, racing, or just out to enjoy the day. This was the Commodore's Cup race, and these two racers finished first and second. This is Biscayne Bay number 6. Flying Scots, a centerboard boat, are about on the bay almost every weekend, either racing or having training sessions. And finally, Biscayne Bay number 7, and some days there's just no wind. And last, we have Wally Nell, who is here in person. I'm sure will be pleased to comment on his images.
I thought I'd post a few pictures from my trip in August to photograph the tennis in Cincinnati. So all these pictures are from that. Carlos Alcaraz comforts Yannick Sinner. In the finals, he got sick, and after playing only 5 games, he retired. This is a Carlos doing a forehand. That the venue where they play is really an amazing venue. You get really close to the players, and you have a lot of high spots that you can shoot down. So when you have bad light like this, you just go up top and you try and aim for shadows and stuff like that. Next one.
That's an awesome shadow. I love the shadow.
This is during the finals. If you want to be in the photographer's box and they wear a hat, then you kind of shoot against the light so you don't get the big shadow over his face and you expose for the shadows. This is the women's finals. This is Yasmin Paolini, and that is not cropped. That's actually as the camera saw it. And there's just, it's a challenge to make photographs that are different. And so I tried to go for really close serving shots like this. Yeah, exactly. Okay, next.
Nope.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Hang on.
This is Rublev. I don't remember who he played, but I just liked his red hair and the fluff from the ball that came off. And same thing, against the light. And so I was trying something new, and I saw in one place where someone they shot against the light and then totally overexposed it, so it became like a low high key shot, and I liked it, so I thought I would go try it. So this is no Photoshop, just plain shots in the camera.
And that's it for the evening. I want to thank everybody that put images in. It's great to see them. I'd love to see maybe some more people in the clubhouse. That would be great. Thank you, everyone.